Hi, it's John here again from Get Expectations Inward Company Limited, and I'm going to show you how to fit a pad bolt or a Brenton bolt to a timber gate. The pad bolt comes in two pieces. You've got the main body of the pad bolt, which has got the little sliding bolt that you can secure down with a padlock, and then you've got the receiver. They fit to the gate using a combination of screws and bolts. The square holes are bolt holes and the round holes are screw holes. Now, when you come to fit the pad bolt, you will usually be fitting it to one of the horizontal rails of the gates. If you want to fit it in a different position, then you will need to fit a lock block. So to start with, I'm assuming that you're fitting it to a horizontal rail. You want to line the pad bolt up so it's sitting parallel with the rail. You can either do this visually, or if you're uncertain, get a combination square and stick this on the edge of the gate and line the pad bolt up with the combination square. You also want to keep the edge of the pad bolt back from the edge of the gate by about 5 or 10 mil. So just pull it back a touch, just so it's not sitting directly on the edge of the gate. With the pad bolt in the correct position, grab a pencil and mark two of the round screw holes through the body of the pad bolt onto the gate. Then what you'll need to do now is, using a 3 or 4 mil drill bit, pre-drill the two holes that you've marked. Once you've pre-drilled the screw holes, then it's a case of getting the pad bolt back into position on the gate and screwing it up. At this stage, if you're not bothered about fixing the pad bolts with bolts as well, then you can fill up all the screw holes and the square bolt holes as well. Just put some screws in there, but remember to pre-drill everything first. Also, if you are going to add bolts to the main body of the pad bolt, then leave the two square holes free of screws. When you've got the main body of the pad bolt fixed to the gate, then close the gate over and slide the bolt of the pad bolt into the closed position. Now get your receiver and sit this over the bolt, making sure you keep the receiver away from the edge of the gate. Now you've got a choice here of either fitting the receiver to the gate using screws or using bolts. If you're using screws, then pre-drill both holes and screw it up to the gate. If you're using bolts, then again pre-drill one of the screw holes and screw this up. And what we'll do is we'll use the screw to keep the receiver in the correct position while we drill for the bolts. It's also worth checking at this stage that the bolt of the pad bolt does slide in and out of the receiver easy enough. This is especially important to do if you are using bolts to fix the receiver to the gate. Now if you want to add a bit more security to your pad bolt, you fix it using the bolts as well as the screws. Now to do this, the easiest way is to drill through the square holes through the pad bolt into the gate, but you don't want to drill right the way through from one side. If you did this, as your drill bit bursts out, you run the risk of splitting the timber on the opposite side. So what you want to use is a drill bit with a point or spur on the end. Drill through from one side of the gate just until the tip or the spur or point of the drill bit just starts to show on the opposite side of the gate, and do this for all holes. What you can do is you can make a quick depth stop on your drill bit by using a bit of masking tape or insulation tape, and it gives you an idea as when your drill bit is just about to start coming through on the other side. So drill all the square holes through the gate just until your drill bit starts to protrude. Go round to the other side of the gate and we line the point of our drill bit up with the slight hole that's visible. Once you've completed drilling all your holes, then it's just a case of pushing the bolts through the hole and sticking a washer on from the other side and the bolt. And when you tighten the bolt wants to tighten up against the face of the pad bolt, so the domed head of the bolt, it pulls in nicely on the face of the gates. Once you've tightened up all the bolts, give it a quick check to make sure everything still works. The one thing that you probably will have to do is cut the bolts because they're normally supplied quite long. Right, when you've fitted your pad bolts, you'll quite often find that it can rattle in the wind. They can be quite loose fitting, and if the gates are next to your bedroom or something like that, it can be quite annoying on a windy night. The old-fashioned way of fixing this was to give the receiver a belt with a hammer, so it would squash the receiver down to the bolt of the pad bolt. But it's a bit of a bodged way of fixing it. The easiest way of fixing this is get the gate closed and have the bolt in the closed position, and then look from the receiver side down to the pad bolt, and what you'll see is a gap between the bolt of the pad bolt and the back of the receiver. If, for example, we've got a 10mm gap between the bolt and the receiver, then the receiver needs to be sunk into the gate or the post 10mm, and this will tighten everything up. To do this, with the receiver still in place, draw around it with a pencil. Once you've done this, remove the receiver, and using a chisel and a mallet or hammer, you need to cut away the timber so you sink the receiver into the gate or the post. Now what you want to do is you want to score the outline of it with your chisel first, and what you want to do is you want to score across the grain first, and this will reduce the chances of the timber splitting for you. Once you've scored around the outline of the receiver, what you then want to do is have your chisel at a slight angle, and you want to do several cuts at an angle to remove the waste timber. And what you're best doing if you've never done it before is just cut a little bit at a time. Try the receiver into place, see if everything rattles. Once you've eliminated the rattle, you can then refix the receiver back to the gate of the post, and you should have a rattleless pad bolt. If you found this video useful, then please give us a like or share on social media. And if you need any more gate fitting tips, please visit woodworkersuk.co.uk/gate fitting.